Hello everyone, welcome to the Ichimoku.co daily stock market review for the trading day ending Monday, September 28th. Firstly to the S&P 500, and here we see very strong selling in this market today. The market sold off substantially, down almost 2.6%. Sellers very strongly in control, showing strong commitment, and this is off the back of the very weak attempt of the market to rally at the close of last week's session on a spinning top type candle. Spinning top was a candle of indecision, and the market found very strong resistance at the 1955 level and around the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen. That indecisiveness in the market attempting to trade higher, which it did for that day's trading, forming a higher high and a higher low, didn't see any follow through. We saw the sellers coming into the market strongly right from the open and selling through the important support at firstly the highlighted yellow zone that had been important support in the past, and then down through the round number 1900. Selling off in this manner suggests that we certainly could see the market testing to this swing low, previous important level around 1867. Now this was something of an extreme day. Very often we don't tend to see strong follow through unless we have unusual circumstances, and if we just look here in the recent past, we did see very strong selling following a strong bearish breakout in this extreme candle. Our benchmark really should be this area down here at 1867. And if we see strong follow through to the downside through there, and with the markets, with the sellers strongly in control and showing some very strong commitment to taking the market lower, then we could see the market end up trading down to around this other highlighted yellow zone, extending down to about the 1832 level. We might not reach that in one day. Could over a couple of days trading. The problem here for the buyers is going to be a rally finding resistance at the round number 1900. So whereas it was previous support, it may now start to act as resistance. So we should be watching that area very closely, and if we do rally through there, we could find resistance within that previous highlighted zone that was a support area extending up to the 1925 region. Now, just looking at our bands here with the S&P 500 day, here we saw previously the market attempting to sell through the bottom band after we saw something of a squeeze go on, failing on a candle where the buyers took control, attempting to rally on an indecisive candle but finding resistance within the band and selling off from there to find support just at the lower band, and for today's trading taking out that lower band support in a very bearish manner. To confirm this strong negative bias in the medium term time frame, we'd like to see some strong follow through and very much so take out this swing low at 1866, 1865. Next to the Dow 30, and very strong selling in this market also mirrors the S&P very often, down 1.92%, so hasn't sold off as strongly, so the sellers aren't as keen here, but still 1.92% is significant. The sellers in control for most of the day, only a small loss of commitment towards the end of the session, but importantly the market has breached just down through the 16015 in a bearish manner. We could see some support coming in at this area. We have seen this area hold a support for the past three attempts that we traded down to there, and that last attempt was just 2 trading periods ago, and then we saw the market rally and find resistance above 16312. So these are areas we should be watching if we do see any buying coming in 16312, and just down below there 16174 with the Kijun-sen trading in that region. With the market trading down below both the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen and the Ichimoku cloud, it suggests that we now have a strong bear market once again in all 3 time frames, and the Chikou span is down below the corresponding price action, so it's supporting this negativity. If we do see the market breach down through 16015, then our next area of support is 15703, but we could see the Dow extend down to this previous support area at 15340 before we see any major support coming in. and to the bands and the bearish breakout after the squeeze, and that's what we were waiting for. The squeeze alerted us to this cyclical movement of the markets where there was no strong price activity, and now we see the bands are going to start to expand if we do see some strong follow through, and the trend to the downside may continue to develop. We want to see strong bearish follow through to confirm this negativity, and we really do need to breach down through this 15992 level, this swing low here from the previous time in the 1st of September, and breach down through there in a strong bearish manner. Next to the Nasdaq 100, and the Nasdaq 100 was the more bearish market as of Friday's trading, and we had a larger black body candle form. We saw the sellers find some solid downside momentum, and it suggested that there was a good likelihood of this trend changing to the downside, and a good likelihood of continued selling, and we have seen that today. An extension to the size of the black body suggests that we have continued solid downside momentum. Sellers in control, strongly committed, taking out three important levels of potential support: 4179, 4147, 4118, all within the highlighted yellow zone, and the bottom of that zone, 4089, is an area that we have just touched, and we are seeing some minor support coming there. So that is going to be a very, very important level moving forward. 4089 will be the benchmark for the Nasdaq as to whether we get more selling. If we do breach down through there in a bearish manner tomorrow, looking to strong support to come in at the 4000 level or below. The last time we were trading down here, we tested down below early, gapping down in a major way, and then the buyers came back into the market strongly. So 4000 is going to be very, very important. We do have a bearish market in all three timeframes, trading below each of the Ichimoku indicators, and the Chiká span is below the corresponding price action, so confirming strong negativity and suggesting that if we do see that 4089 level breached in a bearish manner early, 4000 is a real possibility. Any rally may find strong resistance up through this highlighted zone now, extending up to 4147, up to 4179, and then the Ichimoku cloud, which has moved down quite sharply, may come into play, and we have very close resistance overhead now. And also with the bands, with the Nasdaq 100 following the squeeze and the bottom band holding as support, we've seen the breakout today, the strong bearish breakout, to confirm this new medium-term bearish bias and strong medium-term bearish bias. We do need to see some strong follow-through, so looking for a strong bearish candle, and if that does occur, then there is a good possibility of us testing down to around the $4,000 level at a minimum. So if you recall, on Friday we were looking at some of the asset class ETFs, and here we see strong buying coming into the US Treasury Bond Fund, the 20-plus year Treasury Bond Fund. TOT is the code. And here we have the daily chart, and here we see a bullish breakout up above the top of the Ichimoku cloud, giving us a bull market in that longer term time frame as well as the shorter term time frame. We are seeing some resistance coming in at the Kijun Sen, trading at 123.74, but a bullish breakout up above there certainly could see this market continuing to trade higher, with some potential resistance at a previous swing high around the 125.69 level. Relative strength comparative is very strong, so strongly outperforming the overall market, and momentum of relative strength is trending up solidly. Very strong trend in that momentum, and up above the 100% level. Looking at the volatility is now starting to tick up off a cyclical low, so a possibility of continuation of this trending move to the upside, but a lot depends on how the market reacts here. If we see a bullish breakout up above the Kijun Sen, and that would confirm the strong bullish breakout up above the Ichimoku cloud. Gold GLD has seen some selling in this market today, so we're not seeing a flight to a safe haven as gold. We've seen the market come off and change trend to the downside, with the sellers taking control on a breach down through the Kijun Sen and the Tenkan Sen, and those indicators now for the trading day holding as resistance, so a possibility of lower levels here, but we could see some support coming in at the bottom of the cloud. In terms of relative strength comparative, still up above the upper band, but momentum of relative strength is just around that upper band, so the momentum is strong, but certainly not as strong as perhaps we'd like to see. Possibility of that coming off if we do see lower price levels. The real estate asset class, the REITs, REIT ETFs, are trending down now. Previously an attempted change of trend, but finding resistance above the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen, and the sellers coming in strongly today. Very strong relative strength comparative against the equities markets, and momentum of that relative strength continues up. So even though we've seen selling in the REITs today, they have performed stronger than the overall equities market. And just looking at the sector ETFs, and no real strength throughout any of the sectors. The better performer here today was the utility sector. XLU is the code. It was down 0.49%, and that compares to the S&P, which was down, from memory, roughly about 2.5%. But if we look at the relative strength comparative here, outperforming the overall market. So we may have seen a flow of funds into this sector away from other sectors. The outperformance has been quite strong, travelling up above the upper band, and momentum of that relative strength is up above the 100% level and trending up very strongly, and suggesting we could see a continued outperformance, but still on the Ichimoku charts, down below each of the Ichimoku indicators, so weak in terms of, in absolute terms of trending down below each of these indicators. But we're looking at this on a relative strength basis versus the overall equities market here on this second chart. And the weakest performer here in the sectors was the energy sector. XLE is the code, and very strong selling, very large black body candle. The market attempting to rally for the previous day's trading, finding strong resistance at the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen, trading below each of the Ichimoku indicators. A very strong possibility of continued downside. In terms of relative strength comparative here, down below the lower band once again and strongly underperforming, and the momentum of that relative strength is now below the lower band and down below 100%. And as we watch watch volatility here as it's formed a potential cyclical low, we are starting to see volatility tick up, and if we see it start to move up above that upper band, it would signify a very strong potential downtrend in that medium-term time frame. Potential for support, however, down at the swing low, down around the almost at the $59 level. And just looking at some of the stocks that we were watching, and Activision ATVI is the first, and if you recall, the rally that we were watching here was in potential danger of not continuing to the upside with the formation of a small bodied candle and the larger shadow on the top of this candle, with the buyers losing commitment at higher levels. The buyers failing to take control. Today we've seen a change of trend to the downside with a very large black body candle, bearing in mind that this is not a bearish engulfing pattern because the change of trend has already occurred, but the consequences of this black body engulfing the smaller white body is certainly certainly does say a lot about the strength of the sellers in this market now in the short-term time frame. Importantly, however, the Tenkan-sen holding a support at 31.15, and that's going to be a very important level moving forward. If that area is breached to the downside in a bearish manner, we could see the market test down through to the previous swing high here around the $30 level, and that will be an area where we could see some strong support come in. Looking at the relative strength comparative, where we were previously strongly outperforming the overall market, and still for today's trading we are strongly outperforming, we've seen the momentum of that relative strength move down through the lower band, and suggesting that there is some downside momentum in this shorter term time frame, and we may not see a continuation of that strong outperformance. So it could be a time, if we have some profits here, to just take some profits here. Certainly not get out of the whole position, but look to take some profits if we do see a bearish breach down through the Tenkan-sen indicator. Looking at Sprint, Nextel S was a stock that we'd been tracking all the way up through here with this strong outperformance, and then the market started to move back within the bands as we retraced back down through this region with the Tenkan-sen holding as resistance. So even though we had a strong bullish market in the medium and longer term time frames, it wasn't reflected in the shorter term time frame, and relative strength then started to underperform quite solidly, and the clue here was the momentum performing solidly to the downside. Now we're underperforming in this stock. We've breached down through the Ichimoku cloud. We have a negative market in all three timeframes on the daily charts. So profits should certainly have been taken some time ago on this stock. relative strength comparative is strongly underperforming, and the momentum of that relative strength is also down below the 100% level and trending down strongly as volatility moves higher quite strongly off a cyclical low up above the upper band, and suggesting we certainly could see further downside here in this stock. We have breached down through a flat part of the cloud, and to confirm the bearish breakout, which can often be false when we have a breakout through a flat part of the cloud, we want to see another strong bearish candle to confirm. Nike was another stock that was performing strongly, and we had an earnings report there on Friday or Thursday, sorry, and the market gapping up for the next day's trading. We are seeing some strong selling coming into this market, attempting to fill this gap. Some strong support here at the Tenkan-sen expected at 119.72. If that area is breached in a bearish manner, we certainly could see the market trade lower, but I suggest that will be an area where we could see some buying coming in. Relative strength comparative remains very strong, as does the momentum, and volatility is still ticking up, and we have seen a small loss of commitment towards the end of the trading day, so suggesting that if we do trade lower, we may see some support coming in around this area, and then this stock bounce. Next to Facebook, and here we've seen strong selling over the last couple of days here in Facebook. A fairly extreme candle here for today's trading as well. Sellers in control, showing some strong commitment, but losing commitment down at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, and we saw the market test down through there and failed to close through there, so some buying coming in around that area. Potential for a bearish breakout. Like to see the bears in control as we do break out, and then some strong follow through, but we could see some strong support coming in at the Kijun-sen at 84.24. If we do see the market rally here, an opportunity here for the buyers if they're strong enough. We do have the cloud getting quite thin for the next couple of days, so an opportunity here to change the trend in the longer term time frame back to the upside. But looking at relative strength comparative, now performing on a par with the overall market. But momentum of relative strength is performing to the downside quite strongly, down below the bottom band and heading down towards that 100% level.